Hello, hello. Welcome YouTube to a white tea tasting. All right. So here's what we're gonna start with. So yesterday, as you guys saw my stories, which I need to put together into a reel, I went to my friend's shop. This is my favorite shop in Zhe Rong right now. The making is just really good. The people are really knowledgeable, really easy to talk to. Yeah. So, and the husband is just a fucking funny guy, just energy wise and just very like happy, but like not just like genuinely happy and genuinely just like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, kind of funny. Like he kind of feels like he's always about to start laughing. So that sort of energy. Okay, so I was in there the other day and I was picking up more of the Jin Mu Dan red tea. So I go in and I say, hey, I need like, I think I just got like half a pound. Let me get like half a pound of the Jin Mu Dan red tea. The Jin Mu Dan. And they start packing something up. And then she goes, oh, the Jin Mu Dan red tea? And I was like, yeah, the Jin Mu Dan red tea. And then she goes to her assistant, oh, no, not that one, the other one. And I was like, excuse me? Do you have a Jin Mu Dan white tea? Flag on the play, rewind, clarifying question here, do you have a Jin Mu Dan white tea? So yesterday I went back in and I was like, hey, do you have a Jin Mu Dan white tea? And she was like, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do. So we drank a bunch of shit yesterday. Yesterday was one of those days where we started drinking something and it just escalated. And it escalated in part because we had this same conversation. I was like, look, a lot of these white teas taste the same. I'm looking for something different. So she started pulling out everything that she thought had a different flavor. And one had this herbal taste, and I didn't recognize the herb, but she had it on some other stuff. So we did a quick like herbal black tea blend. It's this shop I might, okay. So Jin Mu Dan. So this is actually a blend. This is actually a blended tea here, which she does, and I don't love the fact she does, but, well, I'll get to that in a second. This is Jin Mu Dan and, I believe, the old tree Xiao Sai Cha. Jin Mu Dan and the old tree Xiao Sai Cha. So notice this definitely has a greener look to it. This is last year's, I think. I think it's just the package. Package doesn't say. Package doesn't say. I think it's last year. So we're seeing right off the bat a greener look. Fuding Da Bai's, Fuding Da Hao's are not usually this green. Needles are looking a little like that. Oh, that's a really good one, actually. That's a really good example of the color difference and just kind of the shape difference. It's not as hairy. Yeah. And so you have to be careful here. And this is, whenever you talk about a tea, and whenever you're looking at a tea, you always want to ask some questions. Because somebody might look at this, and if by the reference point, by thinking, if I were to tell you this was Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao, I'd be like, that looks like shit. That looks like shit. This is not how Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao should look. But when I say, oh, that's not Fuding Da Bai, that's not Fuding Da Hao, you can be like, oh, okay. I can't judge it in the same way I judge Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao, because it's not the same. And so whenever you see a weird looking white tea, just be like, okay, is this Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao? I just, on Discord the other day, somebody posted something, and it was a weird looking white tea, and the same thing. I was like, if that's Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao, that looks like shit. But then also at the same time, it doesn't look like Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao, and it wasn't. It was a white tea from Wuishan, which probably means it was from Shixian cultivar. So I had this tea in the shop, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. I had this tea in the shop, and I thought it was interesting, and I was like, okay, I said, how much is it? And she gave me a price, and hey, Sean, she gave me a price, and I was like, damn, great price, because she was like, okay, here's the price for one of these boxes. For this box, here's the price. And I was like, okay, that's a good price. I like that price. I can sell it for that price. And then so I bought this, and I bought this other tea, which we're going to get to afterwards, which is, and when she told me the full price, it was like much higher than I expected. And I was like, wait, what happened here? Because I thought that this was half a pound, because for the black teas, this is half a pound. And then it turns out that this is a quarter of a pound. So a pound of this was 4 of these, and that doubled the price. And I had a moment of like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. So now, one of the things I'm tasting for right now is, with the higher price, which is still not crazy high, it's not Wuishan prices. It would, if I were to sell it by the ounce, it would be in the $25 an ounce area, which is not crazy high, but you want to get something for $25 an ounce. You want to get some good teas. So that's what we're looking for today. So this is, I wish she hadn't blended it. I wish she hadn't blended it. I think that's what I don't love. I wish she hadn't blended it. And she blends it, I think, okay, let's go back. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about why did she blend it. So the first one is price. So Jin Mu Dan is not usually a white tea. It's not usually, well, I actually don't know the history of Jin Mu Dan. So basically, this, I'm going to move it up so people on YouTube can see. All right, so, oh, shit, surface, please, thank you. So, Jin Mu Dan is not usually a white tea. And it's, okay, oh, so yeah, here we go. Going back to a dominant cultivar within a market, actually. It's actually a very, very interesting topic. This might have to become a blog article. So when you have a market that's dominated by a cultivar, Roguewei, right now in Wuishan, it's Roguewei Shuixian. Fuding, it's Dabai and Dahao. Dahao being a little more popular. Actually, quite a bit more popular. More popular. Decently popular. So what happens is, one of the reasons these teas, what happens when these teas become popular is that they sell. They sell really well. I mean, that's the whole thing. And so what happens is that makers and pickers, people who own land, you have a plot of land, and what you want to do is you want to maximize the profits of that land. You want to maximize the profits of that land. So the extreme case, so in Wuishan right now, Wuishan still has a very diverse market of a lot of different tea varieties, but there is a dominance of Roguewei, and what's happening, especially in the True Cliff region, is people are planting Roguewei, and they're ripping up other plants and they're planting Roguewei because the Roguewei is selling more than other plants. And you have let's make it easy. You have 2 acres of tea. You can plant Roguewei, which the raw leaves, just the raw leaves, will sell 2,000. I'm making up this number, 2,000 RMB per pound. So 200 RMB, depending on the area. It's probably not that much. Well, for the very, very good locations, let's just say 800 RMB per pound, $100 per pound, a little more. So the Roguewei sells for $100 per pound, and then you have some Meijian, and nobody's really asking for Meijian. No one's really making Meijian, and so that's gonna sell for 300 RMB per pound. You have 2 acres. You don't really there's a much more incentive to have Roguewei. So same thing has happened in the Fuding area. And so cultivars like this, the Jin Mu Dan, are harder to find. And when they do find it, these pickers, these pickers can only pick so much tea because you have to understand about white teas. A lot of what happens in the white tea areas, and a lot of areas do this. Okay, so my friend has a tea factory, and when I say a tea factory, I don't mean a big mass produced, but she makes tea. She has a warehouse and she has a couple hands to help. They make tea. They might have some of their own lands, but not enough to fully supply their tea, and this is very, very common. And most tea regions probably do this, or if not all tea regions. So what they do is they buy from their local village. So they were born in this small village, and they were born and raised in a small village, and small villages might have like one tea factory. And the other families who have land, and they will pick tea, but then they'll sell the fresh leaves to that tea factory. And that one tea factory would make that. And that happens a lot. You saw it in white, I've seen it in white tea, I've seen it, white tea, red tea, Huangshan Maofeng did this, depending, and it not always, but it's very common, very common. So for this tea picker, it's kind of the same thing, where it's mid-April, early to mid-April, all of your plants are sprouting, and it's time to pick, but you can't pick them all, because I'm a family and I have just one plot. And so what my friend told me yesterday is, so the Jin Mu Dan white tea is more expensive because the fresh leaves are more expensive, and the fresh leaves are more expensive because, and this is where I get the general gist, but my understanding was this is harder to pick than Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao. And if they pick this, they can't pick Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao for that day, for that time. And teas are a thing where, and this is a big thing in tea making and picking and whatever, one day can make a difference. And you see this a lot in Bilo Chun, where the picking is really, really specific and really, really small and very, very, you have a very short window. The leaf size between day 1 and day 2, day 4 and day 5, these leaf sizes between day 4 and day 5 are very, very different. And what might be perfect one day, the next day is a little too big, and it's a quality drop. And on the very hard seasons, where the nights are warmer, cold nights, what's a little bit too small one day might be a little bit too big the next day. It grows overnight, basically, which is one of the reasons we like colder nights, because it doesn't grow as much. People on YouTube just saw Johnny behind me. And so basically what my friend said was that this tea is more expensive, and like 4 times more expensive, like way more expensive than Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao, for just buying fresh leaves. Just for buying fresh leaves. And so I can see where, and so then once again you have this more expensive white tea, and it's not going to sell as much. So she didn't make this year. This year she didn't buy these fresh leaves, and so I think this is one of the reasons that she did blend. She blended possibly to drop the price. Because especially with silver needles, you need a lot of needles. You need a high yield to get, 1 ounce. Okay, you have a pound of gongmei and you have a pound of silver needle. Gongmei has buds, it has leaves, it has some twigs. Silver needle only has needles, and so you just need so much more material to get to that pound, which is going to cost more. And so blending a silver needle with something with buds and leaves and twigs, you can get to a pound much more efficiently without having to spend so much money. But the problem is for me, I can kind of taste the blend. I can taste the fact it's blended. Because there's a complexity, there's a flavor of There's a feeling of two different flavors, but you can tell that they're not really together. They're kind of standing next to each other. And they're decently balanced. They're just kind of next to each other. I'm getting green apples. Just that little bit of green, a little bit juicy, a little bit crispy, juicy, a little bit crisp. A little bit of vegetalness in there. Once again, there is a little bit of texture, and I also had the old tree gongmei, which is mixed into this. I had that by itself, so I do recognize what's from that one. It's not the same. It's not the same as Fuding Da Bai, Fuding Da Hao. Kind of giving Zhenghe vibes a little bit, in that kind of Zhenghe type of body. It's an interesting tea. It is an interesting tea because it is giving a different flavor profile, different texture. It's different. It is different, and that's awesome. I like that. Is it necessarily better? There it is. Is it better? Maybe not. And this becomes a very personal question. I think yes. I actually do think yes. Quality, because it is clean, it is smooth. I do wish they had not blended it. I wish they hadn't blended it. They blended it, and I think also her blending it is a little bit on her husband, and her husband just kind of having fun. Her husband being like, "Let me try blending these." I mean, it's him having a little bit of fun, being a little bit creative. And the quality is good. Right now, my mouth is very refreshed. There's no dryness. There's no bitterness. I think a lot of people, especially if you like white teas, are going to enjoy trying this. I think they would really enjoy buying an ounce, trying it, having it on your shelf for a little bit every now and then. If you have guests, if you have someone else who also likes white tea, you give them a packet. I think it's going to be a really cool one to try. I'm actually going to leave that in a long sleep. I'm going to push this tea a little bit. Yeah, this tea's growing on me. There's a lot of notes to it, a lot of I want to say, not apricot, but a lot of these kind of slightly vegetal green notes. So green apples, maybe artichoke. Yeah, artichoke. That sort of greenness. So not like a green vegetal green, but kind of that softer, more creamy green actually is a good way to put it. It's a little more of a creamy green. Yeah, okay. So this is for sure going to go into subscriptions. This is very, very subscription worthy. It's for subscription. I don't want to brew this too long because I kind of like it, and I don't really want to destroy it quite yet. It's growing on me. And once again, I think it's growing on me because it has a different flavor, where it's not just that same white tea. It's like, okay, I get it. It is different.